and the kaiju shows up and starts eating and destroying. It spends its first hour destroying 30 major industrial places, smelting places, mining places.
What fresh nightmare is this? I am not alive. This algorithm is mocking my life. I am trapped in digital hell.
Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this brand new day. I have my fan on in the window. My housemates aren't here, so I have my door open, at least until they show back up today. So, it's hopefully not too loud. I forgot to do the noise reduction the other day, and the fan in the window isn't that loud, so I made this no noise reduction. Thumbs up for that. But it is a day. I slept last night, and there's kind of a reason I went and took another Ritalin tablet yesterday afternoon. Just one all day. So, but at least I slept, even though I woke up in the middle of it to have to get up and go to the bathroom. Yay. But I did sleep, and that's good. But hey, front loading of videos. If you like what you hear and see, if you could toss me a like, that'd be very cool. If you like what you hear and see and you haven't subscribed, if you could subscribe, that too would be very awesome. And of course, if you could leave me a comment, that would be double plus good. Definitely a thumbs up on that. And I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. These literally beautiful and literally awesome people are, in fact, literally beautiful and literally awesome. They help to keep me and my pets alive. And little Ghost was up and running around this morning. He's hiding again. He's sleeping. He's a hamster. But he was up and running around and drinking water, so he's happy and healthy, and that's good. If you would like to help me and my pets stay alive, there are links to my Patreon in the video description. If you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron, there's links to a PayPal so you can send donations. If you'd like to help me out without sending money, there's an Amazon wishlist link. And if you'd just like to send me anything at all, there is a post office box where postcards, keychains, anything you'd like to send, I will open up anything I get on camera. So thumbs up on that. Front loading of videos over. Yay! I keep trying to make that shorter and shorter. It doesn't seem to work, so I'm going to keep trying. Oh boy! Yeah, so yesterday was a day. I didn't get as much stuff done as I wanted. At the same time, I think it was it yesterday? I went to the library? Yeah, it was yesterday, wasn't it? I went to the library and I got something printed again. I have like $1 left. Each month you have $44 worth of printing you can do, free. So I did 300 and some odd pages of printing for D100 Dungeon, and there's another free print and play role-playing game. 2 versions of it. One is free, it's basic, and the other is an expanded version that actually costs $2 for the PDF file. The basic version is just called NoteQuest. And NoteQuest is a more loosey-goosey dungeon crawl game, where D100 Dungeon is very, very granular, covers everything from when you have to eat food to how much food you're carrying to the lockpicks you have, levers that you're pulling in a dungeon. You're mapping everything. Not so with that. It's much, much more loosey-goosey. So when you go into an actual dungeon, there's just 2 pages of the random tables. That's the adventure. You're going through the dungeon. On the first level, you find stairs, you go down to the next level. You have to have your beginning level, 2 layers, and then the final level with the boss monster. And you're drawing it all and making it up with these small charts. So there's like 2 to 4 pages of rules, and then you determine what dungeon you're going into, and then you go to that dungeon page, and you never leave that 2-page spread until the game is done. The part that bugged me to death, to the point that I couldn't even play it last night, though I've gotten okay with it in my head now, is when you're drawing your dungeon, and on the sheets there's, they give you paper that you can do that, and then you've got your character sheet to draw your stuff out on, is when it says there's a small room that opens off a corridor, It's up to you. What does a small room look like? Draw it. There's a medium room. How big is that medium room? How does it fit on the map? Well, you better make it fit. They don't tell you how to do anything. It's like, how big is a small room? How big is a medium room? How big is a wide room? What? And so I couldn't do it last night. Afterward, and watching some other videos on it, I've gotten a lot better at it. In my head. Yeah, you're still just doing a whole bunch of, you're making it up yourself. It's a small room with the doors on two sides. Well, it's up to you to determine how big the small room is and what walls the doors are on. Past that, it's all covered. Now you can leave and go back to a dungeon when you want, because you can only carry 10 torches. And if you run out of torches while you're in the dungeon, that's it. You're dead. And in fact, when your next character goes into the same dungeon, if you'd like to do that, you can find the backpack and the empty clothing of your previous character. They've been devoured by the darkness. So I think that's kind of stupid, the devoured by darkness thing, but you can give it any reason you want. Devoured by monsters, it's you fell into complete and absolute darkness. You can just say you starved to death. How are you going to find yourself out of complete and absolute darkness when you're several levels in a dungeon underground? Yeah, you're going to die. So it's very quick. But, like D100 Dungeon, it's a self-complete game. You go into the dungeon, you come out, you can do some minor back behind the scenes paperwork stuff, and then you go back into the dungeon again. With the base book of D100 Dungeon, you do that as well, except if you leave the dungeon, you failed the quest. With no quest, you can go in and out, in and out, because you only have 10 torches. Just like you can buy the quest and world builder for D100 Dungeon that turns it into a complete and full role-playing game with how to turn it into a complete overworld game, with the $2 on this thing, it adds an extended overworld where you draw your maps and discover where the things are. Not bad. Not bad. A lot of other things that I have been downloading. I downloaded a bunch of free little mini type print and play games off a place called Print and Play Arcade, filled with print and play board games that are made by people like you and me. So thumbs up for that. Got quite a few of those. I'm still looking to get like the 4 Against Darkness, and then there's another one that I can't remember exactly, so I'm hoping to get that too, but we shall see. Definitely a thumbs up. I just wanted to talk about that because I have really been going into a rabbit hole of solo RPG game stuff lately. I got a bunch of channels that I've been watching, and so thumbs up on that. Very cool. Past that, the other thing I want to mention is because I've been taking ADHD meds, I have been having more energy. It's because I have depression as well, and one of the ADHD meds is also an antidepressant. When you take antidepressants, you do get more energy. So taking the ADHD meds and taking the antidepressant, I'm able to have a little bit more energy to get a little bit more stuff done. The problem is, I still have severe ADHD. And unless I take Ritalin, which will kill me, I'm not going to be able to fully treat my ADHD. So I am heavily out of sight, out of mind. If something is not immediately visible, I forget that I have it. That's why I've got my stuff back here, because otherwise I forget I have this stuff. ADHD blows. So I've got to try and figure out a way to have places to put things and yet stay tidy. Because if I put it in a drawer, that's it, it's gone. I can't see it, I forget it's there, I will never go into that drawer. So stuff has to be accessible and visible and yet clean and tidy. And so I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I'm starting to try and use, instead of just having loose stuff, going back to, I've got a box for my supplements and meds and such. So instead of being loose, which gives me a bit more space on this little table off to my side, but I need a place to put the box. Otherwise, I'm going to forget I have that stuff. One thing I have been thinking of doing, I have some things against that far wall. I want to try getting rid of some of this stuff, minimizing more of my life. So I've got more room. Right now, I'd like to do some recording of some of the solo RPG stuff and the like, but I don't have room. This is a relatively tiny bedroom. I use it as a studio, otherwise it would have been just a storeroom for everybody. But I use it, and it's, like I say, small. There's a little bit of stuff against the windows there. I have my hamster cage right there. Bookcases back there. I got my computer there. There's some tables against the wall here for the consoles and my computer stuff. Little table there. There's not much room left. So if I get rid of that thing against the wall, that'll open up a bit that way, but I still need to have stuff available and visible. I'd kind of like to get like a card table size thing to do solo RPG stuff on, because right now the surfaces I have to work on, I don't have an easily available one. It's just like a wooden tabletop this big, and for D100 Dungeon that's just big enough for the battle tracker mat, which tracks a bunch of stuff you've got, and a little bit of space to put pencils and a little box that I roll my dice into. So I gotta figure out how to make room and still have things available and visible. Yay. Let me see if I've got what else here. Oh yes, one thing that did happen when I was talking with my med manager. She did ask me, what do I want to do with the Ritalin? Because when I was taking the Ritalin over the weekend, every time I took a Ritalin tablet, I took one of those guanfacine blood pressure meds, and my blood pressure stayed okay. But when she asked me what I wanted to do, I just said, I don't know, because this is a dangerous game. And it's true. And I've said this before, but I'm going to go with a greater telling of what happens. When you take, like, Ritalin that increases your blood pressure, and then I take a blood pressure med, the blood pressure med just doesn't cancel out this medication. It's not like, it just erases the bad part. When I take the Ritalin, it's stressing out something in my system that is flooding my body with hormones that tighten up my blood vessels and raise my blood pressure. If I take a blood pressure med, that's still happening. My system is still stressed and sending out all these hormones because something is wrong. If I take a blood pressure med, all it does is effectively reach over and turn off the alarm off the something's wrong board and then continue working. Yeah, it lowers my blood pressure, but everything is still stressed over here. And that's not good. Because this is still untreated then. I'm still stressed and stuff is happening, but this is just treating the symptom, not the problem, and the problem ain't good. I took a Ritalin this morning. Even knowing all this, I'm not going to ask for any more. When this is gone, it's gone. Thumbs up. Let's see what else is on my list here. Oh yes, I was also thinking about this. I was so badly wrong with my kaiju eating everyone on the mega city layer. Oh my gosh. Things would fall apart so much faster. There would be so much horrific death. If you're on a mega layer that is just one gigantic mega city that has, well, in this case, like 800 billion people, almost 1 trillion people, and the city functions. But it functions like clockwork because it has to. Everything has to function the way it has to, or things are going to break. If you have like one iron mine And in this situation, as long as you do things correctly, it is an infinite amount of iron. You just have to buy the books, go to particular places while these other places replenish, you can get more iron. If that iron mine goes, well, let's say in a 24-hour period, they're supposed to mine 200 tons of iron ore. 2,000 tons. My brain, my apologies. 200 tons of iron ore. And so I don't know how well this stuff smelts, so let's say you lose half the junk to slag and garbage, and you get 100 tons of iron out of that 200 tons of ore. So there are people that are expecting that. You have, say, 100 tons of steel orders. Iron orders. You're not making iron now. So that's 10 manufacturing places that don't get iron. And each of those 10 places makes iron into pieces and chunks for other manufacturers. You can't make stuff with sheet metal if you don't have sheet metal. You can't make stuff into engine blocks if you don't have the metal to make an engine block. Each of those now, 10 times 10, 100 industries out there that don't have all the little widgets to make what they need. Well, each of those, where they had 10 companies and plants out there dependent on them, they're not able to make the tractors for repairing and replacing tractors that break. So suddenly, further downstream, just because this iron mine is gone for a while, farms aren't getting properly worked. There's no nails. They can't repair things. Things are falling apart. For if it's only even a week, during that week when iron is not being made and smelted, it goes outward. For the first few days, it's going to be an annoyance. For the first few weeks, it's going to be a problem. For the first couple months, it's going to be a severe problem. And for years to come, there is going to be starvation, death, deprivation. In the end, just through the loss of one iron mine in a place that requires things to run like clockwork, you could lose 100 billion people to starvation, accident, and more. It could take hundreds of years to recover and rebuild. One of those would be a mess, and the kaiju shows up and starts eating and destroying. It spends its first hour destroying 30 major industrial places, smelting places, mining places, manufacturers, farms, power plants. What happens to a part of the megacity when the power generation goes out and a couple square million kilometers go dark and never get light again? Not only does the infrastructure vanish for billions of people, where they require food and water like clockwork, but the industries that these people would be manning, personing and making run aren't working. 30 industries all on their own would be enough to bring the whole place down to probably just 100 billion people after a time, if even that many. And on top of that, the kaiju is grab, wad, chew, chew, swallow, grab, wad, chew, chew, swallow. 4 seconds. Every 4 seconds, a handful of 15 people is chewed up and swallowed while everything is collapsing around them. There would not be generations of people running from this thing. Everything would collapse, probably in one generation. And 800 billion people dead, and the kaiju would probably have only eaten about 100 billion of them before it was all over, just because of the wreck and ruin. And I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab. I'm going to go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. If I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended. And even though I can't American Sign Language, well, if I hadn't taken Ritalin, my brain would not be working this morning. We have the Horror Files. Always good to see you in the comments, and thank you very much for the compliments. We have Jesse Koskinen. Thumbs up and thank you. I'm glad that you got a laugh from my whiteboard. That was a funny one. I enjoyed it. We have Trippy Vibe X. Greatly appreciated, and I hope you enjoy. Stephen Blanchard, Son of a Gun. I really like the soundtrack for that, and it's good to see you in the comments. JAYY. Oh my gosh. Brains are fun. Good to see you in the comments. Grayson Rothrock, thumbs up and thank you very, very much. Adrian _FNTS. They did a very good job on that game. In fact, Forgive Me Father is part of a retro classic bundle of 4 games that are all really good. And then we have Sean Fitzpatrick. I hope to do another walkies very, very soon. So here's hoping. And then there is Ben B. Greatly appreciated and good to see you. And then I think there's Kieran Parrish. And then that is it. 10 people who left me comments in the past 24 hours. Thumbs up and thank you. It is appreciated. You get me out of my head, into the world, dealing with real people, if only for a short time, and if only in text. Thumbs up for that. Well, hokey smokes, my videos always are going over 20 minutes anymore. I am so sorry about that. If you have watched this far, thumbs up, thank you. It is appreciated to no end. Nobody is forcing you to do so. Thumbs up and thank you much. If you need to get things done, try to get them done today. If you can't, don't beat yourself up. Survival is more important. And of course, with all these diseases out there, just be smart for your situation and location. You don't need to get sick. You don't need to make other people sick. It doesn't matter what the disease is. You just don't need to get sick. You don't need to make other people sick. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is a very good thing.